Now more than ever, keeping up with the world means keeping up with computer technology and software. The PC Video Collection is proud to present this video tutorial.
Hello and welcome to this video tutorial, Learning Word 97 Advanced. I'm David Cooper along with Julie Clemens.
Word 97 is a powerful word processor coupled with the user-friendly attributes of Windows 95.
We use it to create smart-looking text documents for business, school, or personal reasons. But regardless of the reason you're using Word, it's an excellent way to create professional-looking documents. In this tutorial, we will focus strongly on performing a mail merge. We will create a mail merge from scratch using an existing data source. Add a new field to the source, sort the merge, edit AutoText, then create a merge document. Print the merge and email the merge.
We'll create envelopes and labels, create forms, record a macro, and learn how to manage documents in Word 97.
We've made a typical installation of Word 97. Since it runs in the Windows 95 environment, we assume you are familiar with the fundamentals of Windows 95. However, if you need to review, please refer to our Learning Windows 95 tutorials.
We provided a learning disk with sample files that will be referred to throughout this tutorial and can only be used within the application. When we finish this tutorial, simply delete the VIA Graphics Learn folder from the hard drive.
If you would like to try the following exercises with us, please install the Learning Disk files now using the following commands. Place the Learning Disk in the proper drive. Ours is A. Click the Start button and select Run from the View menu. In the command line, enter a:\\vialearn.exe and choose OK. Then choose the Install button and click OK to accept the default directory. A window appears showing the installation progress, and we choose OK at the successfully installed prompt. The VIA Graphics Learning folder now appears on the C drive and can be viewed from the Windows Explorer. Right-click the Start button, choose the Explorer, and see the Explorer window appear. Double-click the C drive. Then scroll down the list of contents on the right side and we see the VIA Graphics Learning folder. Close the Explorer to return to the Windows 95 desktop.
Let's open the Word program window and get started.
We're looking at the Windows 95 desktop. We click the Start button, go to Programs, then Microsoft Word. The Word 97 window opens. When the window is ready, we'll quickly review the components of the window. At the top is the title bar with the Control button and the Minimize, Restore, and Close buttons on the right. Below this we see the menu bar, followed by two toolbars. The first toolbar is the Formatting toolbar, containing tools found in the font and paragraph dialog boxes. The next toolbar is the Microsoft Standard toolbar. It contains tools for commonly used menu commands. We open the View menu, select Toolbars, and notice the toolbars currently being used have check marks beside them. Close this menu by clicking the menu bar. Below the toolbars is the ruler, then a work area, which will display the document being used. Right now, our work area is empty. The right side and the bottom of the window have scroll bars. With a status bar on the very bottom of the window. With the basics down, we can get started.
Since mail merge and creating labels are commonly questioned features, we'll start with them.
A mail merge allows us to create a generic document, then customize it by inserting fields from a database. This allows us to add someone's name in the salutation and any other field data.
Mail merging is popular because it enables us to send a semi-personalized document to many people or companies at the same time, while we only had to create one document.
Before we begin, let's open the View menu and select Page Layout for the view. To create a mail merge, we select it from the Tools menu. The Mail Merge Helper box appears. This helper tells us what to do at the top of the box. Right now, it tells us to use this checklist to set up a mail merge. Begin by choosing the Create button. This seems especially logical since the only other active button in this box is the Cancel button. We click the Create button and a drop-down list appears. We can select from form letters, mailing labels, envelopes, or a catalog. The last option, Restore to Normal Word Document, is unavailable since we don't have a merged document open yet. We'll select Form Letters. A dialog box appears letting us know we can use the active window or a new document. Since the active window is a blank one, we want to use it. And because the active window button is already chosen, we can press the Enter key to select the active window. The Mail Merge helper remains and tells us the second step of the process at the top of the box. We read it, then click the Get Data button. A drop-down list appears. Word lets us designate a database we already have as our mail merge source, or we can create one of our own.
We can use an address book created in Outlook, Schedule Plus, or another source.
Let's see how to open a data source. We select the option, and the Data Source dialog box appears. It uses Look-In just like the other Save As or Open dialog boxes in Windows 95.
The most likely reasons for opening a data source for our mail merge are either because we've already created one in Word or we've already created one in another program.
For this part of the exercise, we're going to use one created in Microsoft Excel. We click the drop-down for Look-In. Click C, then select the VIA Graphics folder by double-clicking it. Since the file we're going to use is from Excel, we click the drop-down list for files of type and select MS Excel Worksheets. We find the Chapter 1 file and double-click it. This means the fields we're about to insert into our mail merge document will gather their information from this Chapter 1 file. Since we're using a spreadsheet, a dialog box appears asking us if we want to use the entire spreadsheet. We do, so we press Enter. Momentarily, another dialog box appears allowing us to edit our main document. We press Enter to do this. The Mail Merge helper fades away and we are left with the empty document. Looking at the taskbar, we see the Excel document has been opened, but it is minimized right now. Before we begin our document, let's look at some changes on the window. The most obvious change is the third toolbar. This is the Mail Merge toolbar. We open the View menu, go to Toolbars, and see Mail Merge has a check beside it. This confirms we see the Mail Merge toolbar. We close the menu by clicking the menu bar. Focusing on the Mail Merge toolbar, we see the first tool is a drop-down list for inserting merged fields. We click it and see a list of fields used in our data source. If we were to open the Excel document being used as our data source, we'd find these exact titles in the same order. We move the pointer over the next tool and see what word fields can be inserted. To close the list, we click the tool again. The next available tool is the Mail Merge helper. It is located 7th from the right. We click it, and the same dialog box we were using before appears. To close it, we click the Cancel button. The last two available tools are Find Record and Edit Data Source. Let's begin our document. This letter will be an invitation to a New Year's party. We begin with the date in the upper right corner. To quickly align the insertion point to the right, we press Ctrl plus the R key. Now we insert a date field by opening the Insert menu, selecting Date and Time, then double-clicking the third option. This inserts that date format. Depending on what time of year you practice this exercise, it may seem a bit early for a New Year's party. Now we press Enter twice and left align the insertion point by pressing Ctrl with the L key. We're going to type our own salutation here, but before we do, let's see how to insert one. We open the Insert menu and select AutoText. A flyout menu appears to the side. The salutation is third up from the bottom. We place the pointer over it and see our choices. Dear Mom and Dad, Dear Sir and Madam, Ladies and Gentlemen, and to whom it may concern. We won't use any of these. We just wanted to point them out. To close the menu, we click the menu bar. Now we type the salutation, Dear. Then press the spacebar once. To personalize this letter, we'll use the person's first name here. We click the Insert Merge Field tool. Then select First Name. The field appears in our document. As soon as we merge the data source with this document, the actual names will appear. We press Enter twice to move down into the body of this letter. We'll type, 1997 has been a wonderful year, but it's coming to an end. Join us for a New Year's celebration on December 31st, beginning at 7 p.m. The festivities will be held on the third floor of the Adams Building, located on 4118 North 1st Street at the Tulsa office. Next, we'll personalize this by adding a special field created in the data source. To edit the data source, we'll do some maneuvering through Windows 95. First, we'll save our work by opening the File menu, selecting Save As, then clicking the drop-down for Look-In. We click C. Then double-click the Biographics folder. To enter the title, we select the file name box, type Mail Merge, then press Enter. Now we place the pointer over the taskbar and click Microsoft Excel Chapter 1. This restores the Excel document on our window. To see it better, we maximize the window. Each column represents a field. We click inside cell H1, then type the title for our new field, Guest. This field is going to be more like a sentence, but that's okay. Both Excel and Word can handle the load. We arrow down to cell H2 and enter the guest data to appear for Michael Buddy's invitation. Please bring your lovely wife, Evelyn. Notice how the text wraps. When we press Enter, it returns to cell H2, with what won't fit in the cell being shown in the empty cells after it. Now notice where the cursor is. Once we pressed Enter, the cell for Patricia Ogg was selected in cell H3. We type, please feel free to bring a guest. Then press Enter. For Nathan Pritchett, we type, please bring Brandy too. Then press Enter. Try creating custom fields in the salutation as well. This could work especially well for invitations. We save by opening the File menu and selecting Save As. We click the Look-In drop-down and click C. Then double-click the Biographics folder and click the Save button. When alerted this document already exists, we click Yes to replace the file. Then minimize the window. While back at the document, we press the shortcut keys Alt plus Shift plus F to open the Insert Merge Field box. Now we scroll down the list of fields, but do not find the guest field. This is because we didn't direct the mail merge to look at the changes we made. To fix this, we cancel from the dialog box, then click the Mail Merge Helper tool and click the Get Data button. We select Open Data Source, then click the drop-down for files of type. select MS Excel Worksheets, and double-click the Chapter 1 file. When prompted to use the whole thing, we press Enter. This should fix our problem. We wait until Word is ready, then click the Close button. Now we press Alt, Shift, and the F key. The Insert Merge Field dialog box appears, and when we scroll down the list of fields, we find Guest. To insert this field, we double-click it. Back in the document, we see the field has been inserted.
You may pause the tape now to practice on your computer.
Let's review what we covered in this chapter. We quickly overviewed the Word window, then started a mail merge.
We opened an existing data source for the content of the fields and edited the data source. Get ready, because we're going to stray off on a tangent for just a moment.
In the next exercises, we'll look at the available AutoText for a closing, add one of our own, and manipulate it.
We're at the mail merge document and ready to add the closing. As with the salutation, we can use a pre-made field for our closing. To look at them, we open the Insert menu, select AutoText, then place the pointer over Closing and see the flyout. There are some good closing remarks to choose from, but we won't use any of these. For this exercise, we will create a closing and add it to AutoText. Click the menu bar to close the menus. We press Enter twice to move down a couple of lines. Now type, "See ya," then triple-click the line to select it all. And open the Insert menu. Press A for AutoText, then N for New. After noticing the quick key combination for adding a new AutoText entry is Alt plus F3. The Create AutoText pop-up window appears. The text "See ya" appears inside the box. This is the new entry we want to make, so we press Enter. To make sure this worked, we open the Insert menu, select AutoText, then Normal. Our remark is listed here. If we wanted to insert it, all we'd need to do is click it. Another place to find the new closing is in the AutoText option at the top of the list. We move the pointer over the AutoText command in the flyout and click. The autocorrect dialog box appears. Inside is a listing of AutoText entries. We can use this box to add and delete entries or insert the selected entry onto our document. "See ya" should be listed. If it isn't, just scroll the list to find it. Now we'll insert an entry. We'll scroll up the list, find Best Wishes, then click the Insert button. The closing is inserted where our insertion point lies. Since our old closing was selected, the new one has replaced it. To delete it, let's press Ctrl with the backspace key 3 times. This deletes the entire phrase.
Right now, you may be questioning how much faster this is than typing.
For instances like this, the AutoText toolbar works wonders. We open the View menu. Select Toolbars, then AutoText. The AutoText toolbar appears. To get this out of our way, we can drag it to the toolbar. There are 3 tools on it: AutoText, All Entries, and New. We click AutoText, and the same dialog box we were working with appears. Using the AutoText tool is a faster way to find a phrase and insert it. We click the Cancel button to close this box. Then click the All Entries tool. A list of the type of entries appear, from which we can select an entry just like we did from the flyout menu earlier. We go to Normal. Then click See Ya to insert it. We triple-click the closing to select it. Now watch how the new tool became activated. We click it, and the Create AutoText box appears. To close this, we click Cancel. Now with the text still selected, we press the shortcut keys Alt and F3. The Create AutoText box appears again. We cancel from it. Before we go back to our mail merge document, we have a troubleshooting exercise to try. We open the Tools menu, then select Templates and Add-ins. The Templates and Add-ins dialog box appears. This box has a few different purposes. We'll look at its components. At the top, we have the document template being used. Normal.dot is selected and has all the entries we're concerned with, but if you ever wanted to select a different one, just click the Attach button on the side. We click the Organizer button on the bottom. This opens the Organizer dialog box. First, make sure the AutoText tab is selected. If it isn't, we can quickly select it by clicking on it or pressing Alt+A. The contents of the normal template appear in the lists below. We use this dialog box to manipulate the names. First, we focus on the inside on the left of the window and click the drop-down for AutoText available in. We see Normal listed, so click the drop-down again to close it. Then click the Close File button. Notice the button name changes to Open File. We click it, then select a new template from the Open dialog box. Let's double-click Memos. Then Contemporary Memo. Two types appear in the list above. We don't actually want to manipulate the contents of this list, but we select it to show how to select a different template, and to show how to copy entries from one template to another. Notice the Copy button has an arrow pointing to the left. This means we can copy entries from the In list on the right over to the To box on the left. We click Attention from the In list, then click Copy. Attention appears on the To Contemporary Memo list. To delete this change, we select Attention in the To list, then click the Delete button and select Yes. It returns to default. With all that understood, let's learn how to rename entry fields that can be used in documents. We focus on the In Contemporary Memo side. Click the Close File button. Don't save the changes. Then click the Open File button on the same side. Normal is selected inside the Open box, and since it's what we want, we press Enter. This displays the contents of Normal in the To side. Focusing on the In Normal side of the window, we scroll down, select See Ya, then click the Rename button. In the Rename box, we type Hope to see you there and press Enter. Hope to see you there appears on the list in alphabetical order. We scroll down the list to try and find See Ya and discover it no longer exists. Now we click the Close button to close this dialog box. Back at the document window, we click the All Entries tool, then select Normal and Hope to see you there. But instead, See Ya is inserted. To match up the changes we made in the Templates and Add-ins dialog box, we should start from the AutoText box. We click the AutoText tool. Find Hope to see you there in the list and select it. Notice the text in the preview box says See Ya, even though Hope to see you there is selected in the list. We delete Hope to see you there by clicking the Delete button. Then type Hope to see you there in the text box. The Add button is now available. We click it, then click the OK button. To put this exercise to the final test, we click the All Entries tool, go to Normal, then select Hope to see you there. The text is inserted. To delete the See Ya that's been inserted, we click in front of it, hold down the Shift key and click behind it. This selects the item and we press Delete. Then delete any unnecessary extra lines between the body of the document and closing if necessary. To return the entries back to normal so you won't have the exercise AutoText on your computer, we click the AutoText tool. Select Hope to See You There in the list of entries, then click the Delete button. Then press Enter to close the box.
You may pause the tape now to practice on your computer.
Let's review what we've covered in this chapter. We looked at what's available in AutoText, added a new AutoText to the list, then inserted some into our document.
We used the AutoText toolbar, then renamed an AutoText entry. Now let's get back to the mail merge.
We're still looking at the mail merge document with Hope to See You There as a closing. We make sure the insertion point is behind the closing by pressing the End key, then press Enter 4 times to move well below the closing. We have the choice to either insert the name of our company by selecting Salutation or Signature Company from the All Entries list, or typing one in. We close the entries list by pressing Escape 2 times. Then type Penny K, President of K Marketing. To merge the document with its data source, we first save by pressing Ctrl and S. Then select the Mail Merge Helper tool from the toolbar, 7th from the right. It's best to use each field in a mail merge. Doing so practically eliminates the chance of having a problem. The Mail Merge Helper appears, and Step 3, Merging Data, is active. The Side Merge is a button for query options. Let's check into our options by clicking this button. The Query Options box lets us indicate which data records appear in our mail merge.
We could indicate persons of a certain city or state with a certain last name or everyone with an email address.
Let's look at the components of this window. Inside are 2 tabs, Filter Records and Sort Records. Filter Records is selected and there are several hidden cells. The Field cell is the only one that is active. We click its drop-down and see a list of all the fields from our data source, including the guest field we created. Let's click the State field. Once a field is selected, that name appears in the field box, and the adjacent Comparison and Compare To boxes become active. We click the drop-down for Comparison and see a list of comparison operators, such as equal to, is blank, and is not blank. We want equal to, so we press Tab to select the Compare To box. The Compare To box doesn't use a drop-down list. Instead, we have the freedom to type anything we want. Since we only want to send our invitations to clients in the state of Colorado, we type in CO. This completes the first filter. But before we move on, let's look at the next line. The Comparison and Compare To boxes are all unavailable. However, the first box is available and displays the AND operator. This is how we use multiple filter criteria for the query. We click the drop-down for this box and see the OR operator. Using the AND/OR operators is pretty self-explanatory. In our query example, we're selecting all clients in the state of Colorado. If we use the OR operator, we could indicate another state, so the mail merge includes everyone in the states we select.
The AND operator can be used to narrow down the query even more. We could use AND to designate a city or zip code so a record must live in the specified state as well as the specified city to make the mail merge.
Using a query with the mail merge allows us to work from a single database or spreadsheet that may contain hundreds of records and extract particular records for a mail merge. This saves us time. Here's a good example of how and OR work together, showing the state is equal to California with the city being Los Angeles. The next OR operator indicates that the state can also be California with Santa Barbara as the city. The results of this mail merge would be all records for people in Los Angeles, California, or Santa Barbara, California. Records from other states and cities are excluded from the mail merge. The spreadsheet we're using for this mail merge contains only one person from Colorado, so we won't add any more filtering information. Let's click the Sort Records tab and see what it has in store for us. We can see sort the mail merge by 3 criteria. We sort our records so they are printed in an orderly manner. When working with items or hundreds of records, this will make all the difference in the world. We click the drop down for Sort By and see the names of our fields listed. We click the last name field, then make sure Ascending is selected beside it, so the mail merge begins with anyone having the last name of A and ends with Z. To select Descending, we click its radio button, but we want Ascending, so we make sure it's selected.
If our mail merge had hundreds of people from Colorado, we definitely want to use multiple sorting criteria. If a company name field were being used in our data source, we could use the Then By field to alphabetically list members by their companies.
And if the number of records being merged were still quite large, we could use the last Then By field to further sort them.
When we don't specify what order the records are to be sorted in, Word will merge the fields in the order that are listed in the data source.
We click OK and return to the Mail Merge Helper dialog box. Notice how the options we've selected appear beneath the Merge button. We click the Merge button and the Merge dialog box appears. We click the drop down for Merge To and see 4 choices. We can merge to a new document, in which case we'll see the merge on our monitor, to a printer, where the merge is immediately printed as long as the printer is turned on and set up, or we can merge using electronic mail. Depending on what's installed on your computer, we may also have the option of electronic fax. First, we want to see the merge as a document. This is a good practice, since it allows us to proofread the merged document before wasting tons of paper, in the event there's a mistake. The next segment of this dialog box lets us specify what section of records to merge. All is currently selected. Let's click beside From and see a cursor in the From box. This feature is great for entering record numbers we want to include. It's another method for sorting, but we want the entire data source included, so we click beside All. The last section is when merging records, with Don't Print Blank Lines when data fields are empty selected. At the bottom, we see query options have been set. Let's focus on the 4 buttons aligned on the right side of this dialog box. The last one is Query Options. This is Word giving us a last chance to filter the merge or make changes to our query options. Above this is the Check Errors button. We click on it, and the Checking and Reporting Errors dialog box appears. We read the options, then leave Complete the Merge, pausing to report each error as it occurs selected, and press Enter. This returns us to the Merge dialog box. To merge the letter we wrote with the data source, we click the Merge button. It takes a couple of seconds. Then we see the Mail Merge document on our monitor. This letter goes to Michael. To see if any other documents were merged, we press the Page Down key. But this is the only one, since we filtered out all records except those from Colorado. We read the letter and see the data from the guest field incorporated into the letter. Let's email a form letter. To do this, we need an MAPI-compatible electronic mail program or fax program.
We also need to have a setup of the main document and data source for the form letter, which we have already done.
As we all know, electronic mail is faster and cheaper than sending letters and documents. For this reason, we will probably want to email as many letters as we can.
The only thing hindering us would be recipients without an email address.
We can use query options to narrow the merge to those with email addresses or fax numbers. When doing this, select Is Not Blank in the comparison field. Right now we're looking at the form letter. To switch back to the mail merged document we wrote, open the window menu and select the Mail Merge document. This takes us to the unmerged letter. Now let's click the Mail Merge, located third from the right on the toolbar. We click the drop-down for Merge To and select Electronic Mail. Here at VIA Graphics, we have our own network, so sending the email may differ slightly for you. Now we click the Setup button. In the Merge To Setup dialog box, we see two fields. We click the first one to designate what field the address will derive from. Ours will be email. Now we click inside the next box to add a subject for this email. We type Working with Word 97 Electronic Mail Merge. Now notice the option at the bottom of the dialog box. This allows us to send the document as an attachment instead of the message. Since our message is short, we'll keep this deselected so our recipients can see the message easily. Now we click OK. Then Merge. The Merge dialog box closes, and Choose Profile takes its place. Inside we have a drop-down for our profile name. This will differ on each computer since we are all using different systems. To go to the Inbox Setup wizard, we can click the New button, but since we assume you are set up for email, we won't continue here. We click Cancel, then Yes. Once back at the Choose Profile box, we click OK. As long as an email or fax program is set up, the email is sent according to our settings. It may be sent immediately, or as soon as we choose a send command, depending on how we've arranged our email. Now let's see how to use this same letter for a printed mail merge. First, we select the View Merge Data tool from the Mail Merge toolbar. Then we select Print from the File menu. Press Enter and see the document printed.
While we're here, let's use this letter to create a new mail merge, but this time we'll create the data source in Word.
This method is most efficient when we have a fairly short list of people to mail.
We click the Mail Merge Helper tool, then click the Get Data button. But this time we select Create Data Source. Our first job will be to get rid of any fields we don't want. All we want to have is the first name field and guest field, so we begin by removing field names. Title is selected, so we click the Remove Field Name button. Now first name is selected. We want to keep it, so we click the Last Name button, then Remove Field Name. We remove all the remaining names. Now we'll add a name. We delete the name inside the field name box and type guest. Then click the Add Field Name button. Then click OK. We are prompted to save the data source. With the VIA Graphics folder selected, we click inside the File Name box, then type Source Created, and press Enter. This returns us to the Mail Merge Helper. Almost simultaneously, an alert box appears, asking us if we want to save the changes to the Chapter 1 spreadsheet. We click Yes. To enter the information in the data source, we click the Edit button under number 2. Then click the Source Created option below. The data form appears. We type the first name, Ellen, then tab to Guest and type, Please feel free to bring a guest. To add another record, we click the Add New button. Now we type Richard. Tab to the Guest field and type, Please bring your lovely wife, Carol. To add another, we click Add New, then type Shannon. Tab to Guest and type, Please feel free to bring a guest. We won't do it now, but records can be removed by clicking the Delete button. We can view any record data we want by clicking the Record tools at the bottom of the box. Notice we're looking at number 3 right now. Let's click the View Source button. This changes the window behind us and lets us work with it. The contents of each field are displayed in a table, and the database toolbar is being displayed. The first tool, Data Form, lets us return to the data source we were just editing. We click the next tool, Manage Fields, and the Manage Fields dialog box appears. This nifty little dialog box lets us edit our data source fields. We can select titles for the fields and remove or rename them, as well as add a new field. We click Cancel. The third tool over lets us add a new record. Click it and see two new boxes appear at the end of the table. A cursor is blinking in the first name part, so we type Ron. Then leave the guest field empty. Back on the toolbar, we see the next tool, Delete Records. We click this, and Ron's name disappears. To undo this deletion, we can select Undo from the Edit menu or the toolbar. We'll press Ctrl+Z to do it. Ron's record reappears. The fifth and sixth tools sort. We click anywhere in the Names column, then click the Sort Ascending tool. The names are all sorted alphabetically. The next tool lets us insert a database. We click it and see the database dialog box. Now we can click the Get Data button to specify which database. We won't select one, instead we cancel from this. The third tool from the right lets us update a field, followed by Find Record and Mail Merge Main Document. Clicking Mail Merge Main Document returns us to the document window. Since we're done editing the data source, we click it. We could finish this mail merge by using the Mail Merge helper, but instead we'll use the toolbar. The third tool from the left on the Mail Merge toolbar lets us view the merged data. We click it, and the fields display the actual data. We click the tool again, and the fields return to fields. Let's click the tool again so we can view the data. Now we'll look at the next set of tools. There are 5 of them. They help us move forward and backward through the merged records. The tool in the center of these shows what record number is being viewed. The next tool is the Mail Merge Helper, which we've already used. After it is a tool to check for errors, followed by 3 tools to merge to a new document and merge to a printer and Mail Merge. We click Mail Merge, then the Query Options button. We click the Clear All button. We don't want to filter anything, so we click OK, then Close. There are only 2 more tools to look at. We click Find Record, and the Find in Field dialog box appears. We see first name is selected in the In Field box. With a cursor in the Find What box, we type Richard. Then click the Find First button, so Word will show the first record matching this criteria. The record is displayed and we click the Close button. To print this, we select Print from the File menu. At the Print dialog box, we click OK, and a copy of the document with each record is printed.
You may pause the tape now.
Let's review what we covered in this chapter.
We used query options for the mail merge, then merged to a new document, printed the merged letters, and learned to email them.
We changed the source for the merge and created our own data source. Now we're ready to create labels. We can do this with the Mail Merge helper or by selecting the Envelopes and Labels command from the Tools menu.
Mail merge is efficient when we need several envelopes, while envelopes and labels work well to quickly print a handful.
Since we know how the Mail Merge helper works, we'll use envelopes and labels.
First, we close the merged document by opening the File menu and selecting Close. When prompted to save the changes, we answer No. Now we close the form letter by doing the same thing, as well as the data source. Once everything is closed, we click the New button on the toolbar. Now we open the Tools menu. Select Envelopes and Labels. In the Envelopes and Labels box, we see two tabs. Envelopes is currently selected. Now look near the top of the box. There's a picture of a book with a drop-down list. This picture represents the address book.
Anytime we see this picture representing the address book, we can click it to select an address.
The address books supported by the Word 97 include the Outlook address book, which comes with Outlook in Office 97, the Personal Address Book or Schedule Plus Contacts, which is the contacts manager used in Office 95 and can still be used with Office 97.
Let's click the address book. It's likely we see different things now, depending on whether or not we keep contact information and where it is stored. We're either looking at the Select Name dialog box or the Choose Profile box. But we cancel from this box. Back at the Envelopes and Labels box, we click inside the first text box for the delivery address. We type Attention Purchasing Agent and press Enter. Then type Printers and More. The address is 18 North Fremont Avenue, Fremont City, New York, 11111. Now we click inside the Return Address box and type Jenny West and press Enter. Her address will be 1 American Way, Pryor, Oklahoma, 74361. Now we'll look at our options. We click the Options button and see the Envelope Options dialog box. Inside we can select the envelope size, a barcode, and attributes for the text used on the envelopes. We won't change any of these. Now, to use the Printing Options tab, we can select the feed method at the bottom of the box. We click OK. Now notice the Add to Document button. We click the question tool, then this button. This button will add an envelope to the beginning of the document. We won't select this. Instead, we select Print. Remember, we need to manually feed an envelope or piece of paper for this information to be printed. You may be prompted to save the new return address as the default address. If so, you can click Yes. But keep in mind that this means the address for Jenny West will appear the next time we create a label. To change the default address at any time, we just type in a new one, then save it as default when prompted to do so. Now we'll create labels. We open the Tools menu, then select Envelopes and Labels, but this time we press Alt plus the L key to select the Labels tab instead of Envelopes. We can manually enter label content. We'll type the address DesignCAD, 1 American Way, Pryor, Oklahoma, 74361. Also notice the address book appears on top, so we can click it to select an address if we've entered it to our computer. Another option is to the right of the address book, where we can use the return address. We click it, and the return address appears in the text box. To go back to the delivery address, we deselect the option.
Although we'll use the address information that we entered for printing an envelope, we can type a different address in the text box to change the address used.
Below the text box, we see a print group with full page of the same label selected. If we were only printing one label, we'd need to specify the row and column number of the label. In the lower right corner, we see the label size being used. Let's click the Options button to see our other choices. We can specify the type of printer we're using, which tray the labels are fed through, the label product, and product number. We click the Details button and see a preview. All the numbers here can be manipulated, but we won't want to change anything. We click Cancel, then the New Label button. The new Custom Laser dialog box lets us create a new size label and name it. We click Cancel, then OK. Now we place a sheet of paper into the manual feed drawer of our printer and choose Print. The label data is printed. A sure way to avoid wasting labels is to first print a copy of the labels on a piece of paper, proof it for accuracy, then use real labels.
You may pause the tape now.
Forms are documents containing empty areas to collect or organize data. They contain check boxes, drop-down lists, text form fields, and other tidbits. The letter we created for the mail merge was a form letter.
Forms can be printed, sent on diskette, or loaded onto the Internet. It's safe to say that they are most impressive and beneficial when passed through on the Internet, although the process of creating one is more complex, containing active text controls and Visual Basic.
Even if you aren't interested in taking a form online, you can benefit from seeing the possibilities and learning how to easily make forms to be printed.
Since our purpose today is learning to use Word, we won't need to take the form online, but your webmaster or Internet service provider can help you.
As you may know, creating forms or questionnaires is both a science and an art. Before creating a form, know what your goals are. Add a cover page when mailing forms out, and precede the form with a letter to let the recipients know why it's being sent and that it's coming soon. Always add instructions for each segment, no matter how easy you think it is to understand. Make the questions impossible to be misunderstood, and use as few open-ended questions as possible. The first step in creating a form of any type is to create a new document, then select the Forms toolbar. We press Ctrl+N to create this new document. Then open the View menu, go to Toolbars, and select Forms. A pop-up toolbar with 9 tools appears. For our own convenience, we're going to place this pop-up on the toolbar by dragging it. Room is made for it. The first tool with the letters AB on it lets us add a text form, the next check boxes, then drop-downs. Since we haven't added any forms yet, the Form Options tool is unavailable. The 5th tool over lets us draw a table. The 6th inserts a table. The 7th inserts a frame. The 8th shades the form field. And the last tool protects the form so users can't change the form when filling it out. The first thing we want to do is add a line of text with some instructions. Before typing it, we'll change the point size to 14. Then type, "This questionnaire is intended for learning purposes only. Attempt to complete it at your own risk." Now we'll add a smiley face at the end by pressing the colon, then a dash, and adding a closing parenthesis. We press Enter twice to move the insertion point down the page. Now we're ready to begin adding forms. When adding a form, we precede it with regular text, asking a question or something. We type full name, then go to the Forms toolbar and click the Text Form Field tool, first from the left. A gray box appears. This is our text form field. To add options for this field, we first select it by clicking on it. Now we have 3 choices. We can right-click the mouse, then choose Properties. Click the Form Field tool, located 4th from the left on the Forms toolbar, or double-click the field. Any of these bring up the drop-down Form Text Field Options dialog box. Inside we see the type of box it is, its maximum length, as well as text boxes for default text and text format. With the cursor inside the default text box, type, "All ye who enter thy names here must finish the rest of the form." This text will appear in the form so that anyone completing this form, either on the computer or the internet, will see this, then type their name inside. Use default text to eliminate the need for instructions. For example, the name box could say, "Click inside this box, then type your full name." We click OK to see the default text inside the box. We deselect the box, press Enter twice, Then type, "Do you own a dog?" For this question, we want to have checkboxes for yes and no. So we press the Tab key to get some space between the question and the answer. Then type yes in all capital letters. To add a checkbox for yes, we go to the Forms toolbar and click the second tool over for Checkbox Form Fields. This inserts an empty gray box. We place the insertion point after this box. Press Tab, type No in all capitals, then click the checkbox tool again. And as with any type of form, we can add form field options to this by double-clicking the field or using one of the other methods. So far we're learning how to create a form, but this form looks very boring. To compensate for this, we'll add a picture. We press the Home key to move to the beginning of the dog question. Then open the Insert menu and select Picture. Several options appear to the side in a flyout menu. We select Clip Art. The Microsoft Clip Art Gallery 3.0 appears. We can insert any picture by selecting it, then clicking the Insert button. We'd like to insert a picture of a dog, but since we don't have one on our computer, we will insert an old picture by selecting it, then clicking the Insert button. A full-size picture is inserted and a picture toolbar has appeared. Right now we have a couple of choices. We can either drag the image to resize it, or we can use the Format Picture tool on the toolbar to help us. First we'll use the drag method. Notice the empty black square on our window. This is called a handle, and we drag it to resize the selected object. Let's place the pointer over the handle. The pointer now becomes an arrow. Depending on how we place the pointer over the handle, the arrow will either have 2 or 4 points. When the arrow has 2 points, we can resize in the direction of the arrows. When the arrow has 4 points, we can drag the entire picture to reposition it. Let's make sure the pointer has 2 heads, then make the picture smaller. If doing this makes it look like the picture will disappear, don't worry. We just need to scroll to a different part of the page to see the picture. It's still there unless we delete it or cut it from the page. Now we use the picture formatting method. We go to the picture toolbar, then click the third tool from the right. The Format Picture dialog box appears. Inside we see several tabs. Let's select the Size tab. The part we need to concentrate on to make the picture smaller is Scale. The numbers we see will depend on which way and how much we dragged the handle a minute ago. Ours shows 88% for the height and 88% for the width. Let's drag the pointer over the numbers in the height box and type in 25. Then click inside the width box and see 25 placed here as well. If we wanted to reset the original sizes, all we need to do is click the Reset button. But we won't. Instead, we click OK. This moves the piece of clip art to the left of the window where we can see it better. If the art has been placed where you can't see it, just scroll the page a bit. Changing the size in the Format Picture dialog box makes handling this picture much easier. Now let's drag the handles to resize this picture. It may take a minute, but after working with the arrows, we can resize it so it fits the left side of the picture question. Of course, we need to click in front of the question, then press Tab a few times to make room for it. Once the picture is deselected, the picture toolbar disappears. Clicking the art will bring it back. This doesn't quite look like art, but it's better than pure text, and it gives us an idea on how to improve questionnaires. To add the next question, we click behind the dog question, then press Enter twice. This time we'll add a drop-down field. We type, which of the following flavors of ice cream is your favorite? Now we click the third tool over on the Forms toolbar. A blank gray area appears. To add options for this field, we first select it, then double-click the field. With a cursor in the drop-down item box, we type chocolate, then add this flavor to the list by clicking the Add button. Now we type peppermint and add it to the list. For our last flavor, we'll type strawberry, then add it to the list. Now we click OK. We return to the document but don't see a drop-down list. The reason we don't is because the form is not protected yet. As soon as the form is protected, everything will look like a real form. Keep in mind, using drop-down lists is great for anyone completing this form from the computer or on the internet. But if we're going to print the form, we should probably use checkboxes beside the flavors instead of a drop-down list. The next tool to demonstrate is the Draw tool. Since Learning Word 97 Intermediate discussed tables in detail, we're going to make this a skimpy exercise. We click the Draw Table tool, then see the Tables and Borders toolbar appear. It contains many tools used for drawing and designing the table. And if we make a mistake, all we need to do is use the Eraser tool. We click the toolbar's Close button. We'll work with the Insert Table tool next. But first we click after the drop-down we inserted and enter a new line. Now we click the Insert Table tool. A box with several cells appears below. As we position the pointer over cells, they are selected. At the bottom, the Cancel button displays the table size. Let's make this 3 by 5, then click. The table is inserted onto our page. To add more room between the ice cream question and this table, we click behind the ice cream question, then press Enter about 4 or 5 times. Now with the insertion point over the table, quickly type, "Please tell us how much you like or dislike the following ice cream flavors," by selecting one of the boxes below. The box furthest to the left indicates a strong liking for the flavor, while selecting a box further to the right shows less and less tolerance for the flavor. Add examples for tables or any questions that may cause confusion, even when it appears crystal clear to you. Now we click inside the second cell on the top row and type "Love it." We tab to the next cell and type "Like it." Tab to the next and type "It's okay." Then tab to the last cell and type "Hate it." Now we go to the first cell on the next row and type "Rocky Road." Then down arrow to the cell below it and type "Cookie Dough." Notice that double-clicking this doesn't bring the Form Options dialog box. In fact, the Form Options tool is not even available. But the Insert Table tool has changed to Insert Row. We click it and see a brand new row. Let's place the insertion point in the first cell on this new row and type "Banana Pecan." This finishes the table, so we won't arrow down to the end of it, then press Enter for a blank line. The next tool is Insert Frame. This tool is what we could have used to make inserting the picture even easier.
We can use the Insert Frame tool to create a frame for a table, a picture, or text. The advantage to using a frame is that we know the table, picture, or text will be confined to the frame.
We click the Insert Frame tool, then move the pointer to the window and see it's a crosshair. We place it to the left of the window, then drag down and over to the right side. When we release, a frame appears. Let's type "Example." We press Enter, then tab 3 times, and type "Love it." Tab, then type "Like it." Tab, then type "It's okay." Then tab and type "Hate it." We press Enter again, then type "Chocolate chip." Move the insertion point below "Love it." Now we'll insert a check mark by opening the Insert menu, selecting Symbol, then click a picture of the check mark in the list of symbols. Then click Insert. Finally, we click the Close button. A check mark appears under "Love it." If necessary, Now we're going to move this frame below our instructions for the table. We click outside the frame, then click it to select it. Placing the pointer over the frame, we wait until we see a four-headed arrow, then drag it below the instructions. We may have to reposition it a couple of times before it goes where we want, but that's okay. Let's try using this with a picture. We click the Insert Frame tool, then drag a frame of any size. Now we click the Insert menu, then Picture, select Clip Art, then double-click the donkey. The picture is inserted onto the page. Although it doesn't fit the frame perfectly, it is sized as small as it can to fit the width of the frame. Since the donkey is selected, we press Delete to remove it. Then click the frame and press Delete. The next tool is Form Field Shading. We click it and the shaded forms appear normal. When printing a form, it is best if the forms are not shaded. The last tool to discuss is Protect Form. We click it and all other tools except form shading become unavailable. Let's type information into the form to see how it works. We triple-click the name field, then type our name. Now we read the next question and click the No box. It becomes X'd. To deselect it, we click it again. Then click Yes. We go to the next question about the ice cream flavors and click Chocolate. A drop-down appears. And see chocolate, peppermint, and strawberry listed. We select peppermint and it appears in the form. Now we scroll down the page to see the table. We read the question, then go to banana pecan and click under It's OK. Nothing happens. So let's go back to the form by first clicking the Protect Form button to turn off the protection. Now we click under Love It for banana pecan and use the spacebar to center the insertion point as much as possible. Now we click the checkbox Form Field tool. We do this to each box beneath Love It, Like It, It's OK, and Hate It. A fast way to do this is to use the Tab key to move from cell to cell and keep the mouse over the checkbox tool. Once we are finished, we click the Protect tool. This takes us back to the table, where we immediately scroll down to the table. These checkboxes make it possible to click in the table area instead of needing a pencil with the form on paper. Now this document is better when used with a computer, but we can't print it. After working with the previous exercises, you will be able to create any type of form and be able to manipulate the form we created so it can be used on paper. Right now, we'll show how to print one. It's as simple as printing any document. We click the Print tool on the toolbar.
You may pause the tape now.
Let's review what we covered in this chapter. We began by creating envelopes and labels. Then we created a form.
We added text boxes, check boxes, drop-down list, and a picture. Then protected the form and used it.
In this final chapter, we'll integrate some basic Windows 95 principles with managing Word 97.
But first we're going to create a macro.
The word macro sounds like something fairly complicated, but they aren't at all. A macro is simply a recording of a mouse and keyboard actions. We can record these actions, then play them later so the actions are performed automatically.
Beginning from a new document, we open the Tools menu and select Macro. From the flyout to the side, we select Record New Macro. In the Record Macro dialog box, we name the macro by typing inside the text box. Let's call this one Learning. Next, we click OK. It doesn't look like anything is happening, but all our actions are being recorded. We can record any actions we want to play again later. Right now, we'll record ourselves adding page numbers and a footer. We click the Insert menu and select Page Numbers. Then we click OK. Now we click the View menu and select Header and Footer. Right now, a header is being shown. To switch to a footer, we click the Switch Between Header and Footer tool located fourth from the right. Now we type, enter my name here as the creator of this document. Then we click Close. To stop recording, we click the Stop Recording button on our window. It has a square. To play this macro at any time, we open the Tools menu, select Macro, then Macros. In the Macros dialog box, we find the name of the macro we want to play, Learning, and double-click it. The actions recorded for this macro are played out. We can verify this by clicking the Print Preview tool. We see a footer and a page number on the preview. Now let's move on to some management techniques. We press Ctrl and O to see the open dialog box. We're going to learn how to use this dialog box. Of course, the Look In drop-down shows what part of the computer we're looking at. Let's click this and select the VIA Graphics folder if it isn't already selected. To see all the files in this folder, we go to the bottom of the window, click the drop-down for files of type, and select All Files. We have 6 files. Now let's start looking at the tools on the top. The first one we'll use is Commands and Settings, located on the far right end. With the All Empty Files selected, we click Commands and Settings and see several commands in a pop-up menu. The first section of this menu contains commands to open the selected file as read-only, meaning we can't make any changes to it, or we can open a copy of the file so we won't be working with the original, or print the selected file. Let's click on Properties. A box appears displaying the properties for the All Empty file. With the General tab selected, we see General Properties for it. To close this, we press Escape. Let's click the Commands and Settings tool again, but this time we select Sorting. This is how to sort the files in the open directory. Let's click the drop-down for Sort Files By and choose Size. We click OK and the files are sorted accordingly. To set this back to normal, we click the Commands and Settings tool, select Sorting, then choose File Name with Ascending selected as well, and click OK. The next tool going towards the left is Preview. Let's select the Fenestra file, then click the Preview tool. Word lets us preview the document right here in the open dialog box. Fortunately for us, this file is short. The next tool over is Properties. We click it, and the preview is replaced by the properties of this file. Now we click the Details tool next, moving over left. This affects the way we see the files. In addition to seeing their names, we can also see their size, type, and last date modified. Now we click the List tool. This returns the files to a list view without all the extra information. This view is what we see by default. Okay, there are only 4 more tools left up there. The one our pointer is over now is Add to Favorites. Since the file Fenestra is selected, we add this file to the list of favorites when we click the Add to Favorites tool. Let's click the Look in Favorites tool. We may have several files and folders listed here, depending on what we've listed for a favorite, but we all see the Fenestra file. Add files or folders that you often look for to the list of favorites. It will make finding them much faster. The next tool over is Search the Web, which lets us go straight to our World Wide Web browser to find a website like Internet Explorer. But for it to work, the computer needs to have a browser and to be set up for Internet service. We won't go here right now. Instead, we click the Up One Level tool. This tool drives us up the directory structure of our computer one step at a time until we reach the top, which is the desktop. We see the Look-in box change each time we click it. Let's go back to the Fenestra file by clicking the Look in Favorites tool, third from the left. Now finding this file was fairly easy since we put it in Favorites. But sometimes it isn't this easy to find a file. To demonstrate, we first click another file located inside the Favorites list, so Fenestra isn't selected. Now we click inside the file name box and type Fenestra. To find it, we click the Find Now button. This selects the file. Since most Word files you'll want to find are located in the My Documents folder, select My Documents in the Look-in box first, then try finding them.
Let's open a file and see how to toggle between files.
We double-click the Fenestra file to open it. Now we have 2 documents open. To quickly go from file to file, we open the Windows menu and select the file we want to see. As we can see, all the open files are listed at the bottom. Let's escape from this menu and try a faster way of going to an open document. We press the F6 key with Control at the same time. This switches the open documents for us no matter how many are open.
For our final exercise, we're going to learn how to delete documents. For this exercise, we'll be using the Windows Explorer.
To quickly open the Explorer, we place the pointer over the Start button, then right-click. From the pop-up menu, we select Explorer. We'll maximize this window so we can see better. Next, we find the My Documents folder and double-click it. This displays all the files inside My Documents to appear on the right pane of the Explorer. This is where we'll ordinarily find the files we want to delete, since Word automatically saves them here. But the file we want to remove is in the ViaGraphics folder, so we scroll down the left pane if needed to select it. Once we click on it, a list of files appears in the right pane. To delete one, we can select it, then press the Delete key. A pop-up will appear asking if we really want to send this to the recycle bin. We do, so with Yes selected, we press Enter. Keep in mind we can only get rid of files that aren't being used. For example, let's click the Fenestra file, then press Delete. We're informed we can't do this since it's open. To close this dialog box, double-click its Control button. Now we'll return the toolbars to normal by right-clicking an empty space, either on the menu bar or the toolbars. We make sure the only toolbars selected are Microsoft Standard and Formatting. Now we close the files open in Word by selecting Close in the File menu. When prompted to save them, we select No. To close Word, we double-click its Control button.
Let's review what we've covered in this chapter. We learned about macros, then created and used one.
We learned how to toggle between open documents in Word and work with the various managing tools in the open dialog box.
We also learned how to delete a file from Word.
Now let's delete the learning files from the hard drive. We're looking at the desktop, so right-click the Start button and open the Explorer. Next, highlight the ViaGraphics folder. Then press and hold the Shift key as we drag the folder to the recycle bin. Next, release the mouse, then the Shift key, and our files are deleted. To empty the recycle bin, we right-click it, then choose Empty Recycle Bin. And yes, to delete the file. Finally, we'll close the Explorer and we'll return to the Windows 95 desktop.
That concludes this video tutorial, Learning Word 97 Advanced.
We've covered a lot of information in this tutorial. If you feel you need to review, simply rewind the tape and review that section again until you're comfortable with the material.
Our worldwide website address is http://www.viagraphics.com. Send your questions or comments on this tutorial via email to admin@viagraphics.com. For more information about ViaGraphics training products, email info@viagraphics.com, subject information. For sales questions or to place an order, email sales@viagraphics.com.
We at ViaGraphics would like to thank you for choosing our company for your software training needs.
Remember, if you plan to learn Word or any other computer software, there's no better way than through video training with ViaGraphics.